Welcome to the Skrmetta podcast, Skrmetta videocast, however you want to say it. 3 in like a week, so we're on to a blazing start compared to last year. Today's episode, this morning's episode, whenever you see it or hear it, we'll be talking the Aladdin trailer, the new Alliance of American Football League, Kyler Murray's decision on choosing the NFL over the MLB, an NFL draft prospect who's maybe a little too big, and we're going to talk some Grammys as well. Thank you guys for listening or watching or however you may do it. Here's a little advice. Here's a good way to enjoy it. On your way to work, put YouTube on, pull this up, drop the phone in the cup holder with, of course, the speaker down. It'll amplify it for you. It's like a little speaker. Boom. That way, if you don't have Bluetooth, if you don't have any of that jazz, don't even worry about it. That's an easy way to enjoy the show. So, let's start off with this Aladdin. Let's start with the Grammys. So, the Grammys were Sunday night. And I watched about an hour of it. I'll give you that. I watched about an hour. Award shows just they've just kind of lost their luster a little bit. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just that. There's a bunch of different theories I have on why award shows have kind of lost their appeal. And I think that the biggest reason, IMO, is that every day is an award show. Twitter, Facebook, with social media. With social media, you don't have to wonder who has the best song or the biggest song. You don't have to wonder what people think about anything. Trust me. Social media will tell you. And I think that a lot of the award show luster is lost with that. And also just the accessibility to celebrity. Award shows and red carpets was a time where you could sit back and watch all your favorite celebrities in the same room, hear them talk, kind of see them candidly, see them dress up, what have you. But we have so much access nowadays with Instagram stories and Snapchat and Twitter and just a regular Instagram. If you have a favorite celebrity, you can pretty much be with them all day. If your favorite celebrity is Cardi B, you don't have to wait until the Grammys to see her perform or to see her give a speech or to see her wearing outfits or conversing with other celebrities. You just flip on her Instagram. And she probably posts 5 or 6 Instagram stories a day, probably posts a few Instagrams a day. I don't know if she has a Snapchat, but maybe she does. A lot of celebrities do. So you can be like, oh yeah, Cardi B was at this store. She's in this city. She's talking about this. You see her every day. So the appeal of seeing these celebrities just isn't there like it used to be. Now, some of the performances are nice to see, but is that enough to make you watch? Probably not. But yeah, I watched about an hour, about the first hour, and I thought Alicia Keys did a good job while I was watching. She was the host. There was a really interesting moment where she was talking about when she lost Album of the Year to John Mayer, and Stevie Wonder was the one presenting the award. And she said that the envelope was in Braille, so Stevie could read it. And so they showed like a video. I had no idea this had happened, and so Stevie is like reading it in Braille, and she said that the whole time she's thinking, I'm definitely going to win, because it's in whatever, just the whole Stevie Wonder thing, definitely going to win. And John Mayer ended up winning. And John Mayer came out, and they talked about how immediately after that, he sent her half of the Grammy, and he said that he thought she should have won and whatever. So it was a cool moment. And but let's go over some of these winners. So Album of the Year was Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves. Record of the Year was This Is America, Childish Gambino. Song of the Year, which I don't know the difference, was also This Is America, Childish Gambino. Best New Artist, Dua Lipa, which is the most important part. Because Dua Lipa, let me say this right now. I'm a humble man. Everyone knows that. You can't have your own podcast without being humble. Okay? Not ego-driven at all. Zero ego right here. But I've been on the Dua Lipa train forever. I've been telling people that Dua Lipa had next for a hot minute. She is far and away better than anything out there. It's like her and Halsey. Her and Halsey are the 2 female singers that are just way ahead of everyone. So congrats to Dua Lipa. Some other stuff on here that's noteworthy. Best rap album was Cardi B's. I think that was the first time a solo woman has ever won that. So worth mentioning. But that was the Grammys. During the Grammys, it's called a segue. Okay, not the thing you ride on, not Paul Blart's segue. That's just a good old-fashioned professional segue. During the Grammys, after I'd already quit watching, the second Aladdin trailer came out. Now, Disney is doubling down on all of their intellectual enterprises, and they're saying, well, we don't have any new movies, so we can just redo all our old movies. And you know what's crazy about that? It freaking works. It really, really, really works. It's actually kind of surprising how much it does work in every single facet. Like songs, Toto's Africa was recorded 30 years ago? And right now it's bigger than ever. Queen, right? I know the movie just came out, but Queen's bigger than ever. And it probably also has something to do with Adam Lambert being the best singer in the world. But so Disney is redoing virtually all of their old stuff. Lion King's getting a reboot. Jungle Book already got one. Dumbo's getting one. Aladdin's getting one. So they're redoing all of them. And Aladdin's a tough one because with Lion King, they're doing the whole CGI, but it's lions. Who cares, right? You can make a lion look as cool as possible. Well, with Aladdin, though, they're not doing that. They're pseudo CGIing. It's not obviously just going to be Will Smith in blue paint, but it's still Will Smith. So people who are used to Aladdin and are used to Robin Williams and the big cartoonish genie, they didn't really like it. It got some really mixed reviews. And people are pissed. People think they're going to screw this up. But I'm here. Guys, relax. Big Willie Smith. Big Willie time. Getting jiggy with it. Miami. Will Smith is not going to mess this up. I have so much faith in Will Smith. So much faith in what he's going to do as the genie. I'm excited. I think he's going to do a fantastic job. Now, the rest of the cast is pretty unknown. And by pretty unknown, I mean I have no clue who these people are. Aladdin is played by Mena Massoud. Jafar is Marwan Kanzari. So, I mean, we're really, these are some no names in my world. So can they carry a story as important as Aladdin? Perhaps. Maybe. Time will tell. You got to feel like Disney is going to treat one of their most precious commodities appropriately. I can't see them taking Aladdin and just butchering it. But Will Smith, the genie is one of the most iconic characters in all of Disney. So, and especially with Robin Williams and how people are, how they feel about Robin Williams, Will Smith has to really, really kill this. He has to really. This is a huge role. I know it's Will Smith, and he has his career. Will Smith has nothing to prove to anybody. But to step in Robin Williams' shoes and to play a character this important and put your face on it. It's not like he's voiceovering. It'd be easier if he was just doing the voiceover for Simba or something. But he's putting his face on this genie, something Robin Williams didn't even do. And this movie, I got a feeling, will live or die with his genie. And I think he's going to be fine. Will Smith's one of those guys where, yeah, he's a little eccentric. Yeah, his kids are a little eccentric. But at his core, Will Smith's an entertainer. And that's what we have to remember. Think about the movies. Men in Black, Bad Boys, 7 Pounds, Pursuit of Happiness, Hitch. Fantastic flicks. Yes, there's some Hancocks in there. I'll give you that. Yes, After Earth sprinkled in there somewhere. Okay. But I have faith in my boy Will Smith. Next up, also what happened this weekend. I had no clue this was happening, by the way. Between me, you, and the camera, I had absolutely no idea that this was even a thing. But the Alliance of American Football kicked off. And we learned a few things about America. The first thing we learned is that they love football. Now, I think this is getting a little overblown, to be honest. Because, first, it was a week after the Super Bowl. So people are already like, I want football. I need football. I'm sad that football's gone. So football fever should have been at an absolute high, right? Football fever should have been higher than it ever could be. Also, it's a new league. It's a new league, new rules, new uniforms, new cities, new players. So people should have already been wanting to see that. So people had multiple reasons to watch this. It did do good ratings. I think it did a 2 overnight rating, which is better than the NBA games that were on. But for this game, I'm interested to see week 2. I think week 2 will be a bigger rating because I honestly don't think people knew about it. I swear I didn't know it was happening. I saw tweets and Instagrams and stuff about it, and that's how I knew about it, but I had no clue leading up to that day that these games were happening. So now that I think it's on people's radar, and they're like, oh, this is real football, I think now they're going to be much more likely to watch it. So I think that week 2, week 3 will be where you see the true ratings. But Americans love football. I mean, it did better than the NBA, and that's with people, like I said, not really knowing it's even on. But so you're probably asking yourself, what the hell is the Alliance of American Football? What's going on here? Well, they're calling it a supplement to the NFL. Now it's separate. It's not the NFL. It's totally separate. But the people who are running the league want you to view it as complimentary. It's just It's just like that chocolate mint at the end of your Olive Garden. This isn't the spaghetti. Okay. The AAF is not going to be your chicken parm or your egg parmesan. Whew, baby. It's not going to be one of those. It's going to be that delicious little mint at the end. Now they give you like 7 of them, but it's that little mint. It's supposed to just hold you over. It's supposed to just have you, say, you know what? I miss football. Oh, you do? Well, here's a little football. It's not the NFL, but it's pretty damn close. How close? You ask. I'll tell you. So there's some differing rules. First of all, there's no kickoffs. There's no kickoffs at all in the league. The team just simply begins at the 25-yard line. I like this rule. I think that kickoffs will eventually be out of the NFL. I think that they're already basically out with the how they moved them up. I mean, when's the last time you saw a kickoff return for a touchdown? Or it just doesn't happen as much anymore. And if the touchbacks are so frequent that I think pretty soon we're going to see kickoffs totally eliminated. So kickoffs are gone in this, which is smart. That takes away, or that adds to the brevity of the game, the shortness of the game, which is good. Extra points are gone. Also, I think I like this. I think the NFL was smart with moving the extra point back, but part of me likes how they do it more. And what they do is you have to go for 2. So there's no such thing as an extra point. So all you do, you score a touchdown, you have to run a 2-point conversion play. And I don't think the NFL would do this, but man, it would make the games more interesting. It would make the teams, what it would really do is separate teams. Because if the Patriots are playing the Jets, Patriots score, kick field goal, Jets score, the Jets do not have anywhere near the same amount of percentage chance to make that 2-point conversion as the Patriots do. So over a course of a game, teams would be separated big time. So I think that what we'll see in the AAF is that good teams are just going to blow out bad teams. I don't think there's going to be any really not parity, but I don't think there's going to be close games between a good team and a bad side, because I think that the way that it's set up, there's not enough chance. There's not enough variance and kind of level playing field chance for these bad teams to keep up with the really good teams. The extra points, even kickoffs, those are moments where bad teams can keep up with the good teams. So expect a lot of blowouts, and yes, it is higher scoring. Yes, that you're getting more offensive plays than just kicking an extra point, but I think it's tough. I think it's really tough to see that in the NFL. But I do like that. I do like it. It makes everything much more interesting for sure. Overtime is like college and the AAF, where each team gets the ball, they try and score. There's no NFL rules, although they will end in a tie if it's tied after the end of one quarter. So in college, a game could theoretically go on for eternity. But in the AAF, yes, they will do the college rule of each team starting at the 10-yard line. Or here, they do each team on the 10-yard line with a chance to score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. If the two sides are tied at the end of the session, the game ends in a tie. So, NFL overtime always been a point of contention with everybody. People don't like the fact that one team could, and normally, one team just could not get the ball. Like the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. The Patriots got it, drove down, scored. What could the Chiefs do? Absolutely nothing. Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, most exciting player in the league, arguably MVP of the league, a guy that the NFL wants to market heavily, in overtime, in his home stadium, didn't even get a chance to respond to Tom Brady's touchdown drive. Is that fair? You could argue no. I would argue no. But the college way of doing it probably is more fair. Problem is that eternity type deal where in a playoff game, in the Super Bowl, I don't know if the NFL wants that problem of, well, this game could last forever. It sounds good in theory, but it's a little more difficult. I do think the overtime rules do need to be tweaked in the NFL, but I don't know if it'll ever reach this to where it's just a free-for-all for a period of time. They also have a sky judge, a.k.a. the New Orleans Saints rule. Sometimes penalties seem more obvious from a distance. Then we have a sky judge. The sky judge is a ninth official who's in a press box and has the right to call penalties or tell the referee to pick them up. The official will mostly be used to assess safety-related calls, including helmet-to-helmet hits or blindside shots. So I like that. I mean, I think that anytime you have more referees, anytime you have more consistency and the game is played the appropriate way and flags are given out appropriately, and human error is a part of sports, especially with referees. But I think that as we get to more autonomous a way of life with robots or whatever it may be, replay, trackers on the ball to basically tell you, yes, they got over the first down, or no, they didn't, or yes, they got over the end zone, or no, it didn't. I think the referees will get phased out because I think that as much as human error is part of the NFL, I think people just want the game to be played. And I don't think that they want the referees to really be involved at all. Bad calls, good calls, doesn't matter. They just want calls. They just want the appropriate call 100% of the time. And if adding a new referee helps to get closer to 100%, all for it. It still won't be 100%, but there's an old saying that just because you can't get to, and I'm just paraphrasing the saying, but just because you can't reach that 100%, just because you can't reach perfection, doesn't mean you can't try and get as close as possible. So adding a judge, adding more cameras, adding whatever you have to do, adding more replays, adding more challenges, it makes the game better. Will it make it longer? Probably, but I'd rather have a longer game than a game decided by a referee. Again, yes, I'm biased because I'm a Saints fan. I was in the Superdome for the game, but Saints-Rams, would anyone be mad if that game went an extra 10 minutes because they reviewed a few calls and got them correct? I don't think they would. So I like this as well. Stricter defensive rules. This is not shocking, but anytime they have new leagues, what do people want to see? Offense. People don't want to see defense. People want to see 50 to 51. They don't want to see 3-0. So anytime you have a new league, you're always going to see the offense try and get help. So how are they doing it, you may ask? We have limits on rushing the passer. So no more than 5 players can rush on a single play. Players also aren't allowed to blitz from more than 2 yards outside the defensive line or from 5 yards back to the line of scrimmage. Finally, players lined up at the line of scrimmage count as rushers, regardless of whether or not they go after the quarterback. Any violation of these rules results in a 15-yard penalty. So, that's probably the biggest difference. That's pretty close to arena football, to be honest. So, try and review these. So 5 players can rush on a single play. But they said that anyone on the line of scrimmage is a rusher. So if you're on the line of scrimmage, you can't even disguise it. If you're on the line of scrimmage, you will have to rush. If you don't rush, you're wasting a rusher because you can only have 5. Also, 2 yards from the line of scrimmage means like cornerbacks and safeties can't blitz really unless they pinch all the way in, which is easier for the quarterback to recognize the blitzes. The quarterback should easily be able to pick up these blitzes because he just has to count the people on the line. And then if you're 5 yards or more back, you can't rush. Again, safeties, linebackers playing back, so you can't drop back and come in on some kind of blindside blitz. So a quarterback and an offensive line should be really easy for them to say, hey, this is the defensive scheme, which should help offense out a lot. And that's what's going to help. You don't want to be – it's a fine line because you don't want to be the Arena Football League. The Arena Football League was a little too high scoring. You don't want to be a 7-on-7, a glorified 7-on-7. You don't want to be two-hand touch. But you don't want to risk the chance of a game being 6-3, 3-0, 3-3, right? You want to get some offense, you want to air it out, you want to let explosive players explode. So I like that rule. I think they should maybe even go a little further, have rules like wide receivers only need to get 1 foot down, go back to college with that. So I like what they're doing. I think it's smart. I think it'll work. I think the kind of the marketing, or not the marketing, but the plan behind it, this complimentary supplemental football, great idea. It's in a perfect window where people want football. There's nothing else on TV, so they'll watch it for sure. And they just need to get more players in there. Get Johnny Manziel in there. Get these players who didn't succeed in the NFL but are household names. There are some big players in there. Denard Robinson, ex-Michigan running back. He's, I think he played for the Colts. I think he played for the Jaguars. But he's in there. Christian Hackenberg is in there. He played at Penn State and then the Jets. Trent Richardson, former first-round pick from Alabama. Roll Tide, he's in there. Steve Spurrier is a coach. Mike Singletary is a coach. So they just need big names. They just need to go and get those big names. Johnny Manziel has got to be the number 1 guy. If I'm the AAF, you have to go get Manziel. Do whatever you got to do. You go get all those players like that. There's some decent players. I was looking at the roster before the show. Aaron Murray, he's in there. So they have some studs. They have some players that made waves in the NFL or had a promising little run there and fizzled out. But if they want to really make this thing work, they need to go get players. You couldn't get him now, I guess, but like Tim Tebow would have been a perfect example. Perfect example. If Tim Tebow, I'm going to make a bold statement here. If Tim Tebow was in his prime, right out of the NFL, still trying to make a team, and an AAF roster picked Tebow up and started him, he was a starting quarterback for the blank, whatever team, I think the ratings would double, if not triple. So it did a 2. I could see a Tebow game doing a 6, doing a 4-5. That's how much he would move the needle. That's how much Johnny Manziel would move the needle. They need more players like that. So the AAF has to attack those players. They have to go and look for those players. 2 more football notes. So this is a football-heavy show. We started off with some Hollywood. We're ending with some football. Let's go next to a draft prospect. So this guy came out of Ole Miss. This guy's name is DK Metcalf, guy on the left. DK, do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I'm stupid, DK? Do you think that I'm supposed to just accept that a human being looks like this? You look like Shredder from Ninja Turtles, okay? You look like a tank with 2 arms and 2 legs, okay? You look like you sank the Titanic, son. DK, it's just really hard for me to sit here and understand how push-ups, sit-ups, eating chicken and eggs, drinking protein powder, whatever, how has it come to this, DK? How did you create this? You're going to have to tell me. And I got a feeling he's going to be peeing in a lot of cups. Not saying he's guilty of anything. I'm just saying that I got a feeling that he may be peeing in some cups. Okay? And how about this poor sucker that had to stand next to him? My man, go get on the other side. If I'm lining up for a picture, and it's 7 of us, and DK's on the end, guess where I'm going? Away from DK. You don't want to be next to this guy? You don't want people to be sizing you up with DK? Are you kidding me? You don't want that? You do not want that. Also, little note here. I bet you wouldn't have guessed this. Position this guy plays? Wide receiver. What? He is the defensive line. That's what I was thinking. When I saw this picture, I was like, oh, he's the whole defensive line. Oh, he's 2 linebackers. Cool. You can only have 10 players on the field when you have DK Metcalf because he should count as 2. Okay? And this guy's a wide receiver? DK, you got to bring it down. I understand the hustle. I know you want to get to the league. I know you want to get drafted. You got to bring it down a little bit. Okay? If you don't bring it down, you're going to get drafted by the armed forces. You're going to be some Captain America guy going out there fighting planets. Bring it down, Thor. Bring it down. Last story. Kyler Murray, Heisman-winning quarterback for the University of Oklahoma, has made his decision. He is choosing the NFL over Major League Baseball. Now, this freak athlete was drafted by the Oakland A's, and he had a $1.5 million signing bonus that the A's gave him. And so he has to return 1.29 of it. He forfeits the remaining $3.16 million due on his contract, and the A's will put him on the restricted list. This is crazy. Well, it's not crazy, but Kyler Murray, I don't think will be very successful in the NFL. He's just too little. 5'11", 194 pounds. He is absolutely fast as lightning. There is no doubt about that, and he has a cannon. But it's just really hard for a 5'11", 194-pound quarterback to succeed in the NFL doing what he does. Because all that running, it just doesn't work. Straight up. It just doesn't work. When you're that size, you get beat up too much. Running as an asset for a quarterback works when you're someone like Michael Vick, who at that time was just faster than the NFL. Michael Vick nowadays probably wouldn't have been as successful because linebackers, defensive ends, defensive linemen became so quick. Back then, Vick literally could just outrun everybody. Cam Newton is a guy who running and his physicality works for because he's so big. When he's taking those hits, he's usually bigger than the people hitting him, which is a huge rarity for a quarterback and defensive players. Kyler Murray is Vick-level speed, but the league is also Vick-level speed. Kyler Murray is probably the fastest, most dynamic quarterback that the NFL has seen ever, but the league is just so athletic. So athletic. I mean, you have some linebackers who are out there running 4.4s. You have some defensive ends who are 6'5", 275 pounds, running a 4.55, 4.5 flat. So, I mean, it's just going to be really hard for Kyler Murray, I think. I think it is smart, though. And I'll tell you why. Because even if he doesn't succeed, he will be found out, or he will know that in the NFL in 2 years. He'll know exactly how good he is in the NFL in 2 years. Maybe 3, but more than likely 2 years. He's 21 years old. So let's say he gets drafted, gets a big chunk of change, plays 2 years in the NFL, not going well at all. He's just getting beat up. It's not working. He's a disaster. He can just go play baseball. He'd be 23 at that time, still young, still a stud, and he could find a roster. You can't do the opposite. You can't go play baseball because if you're playing baseball, you more than likely will be in the minors for at least a year, probably 2 years, if you're someone like Kyler Murray. And it takes a while to develop in baseball. Baseball, it could take him 5-6 years to develop. And then if he doesn't work out, you can't go to the NFL. You can't have a 6-year hiatus in the NFL, be 26 years old, and then go try and play quarterback with Kyler Murray's skill set. It can work at other skill sets if you're just a drop-back passer, but it's not going to work when you're Kyler Murray and you're the fastest guy in the universe. So I definitely agree with this. Football's king. If you have a chance to be in that league, if you have a chance to be involved in that, take the chance. Who knows? Maybe it'll work out. But even if it doesn't, took a chance, made a name for yourself, made some money off of your first deal, maybe some sponsorships, whatever, then go play baseball. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Russell Wilson has played baseball, and he's been in the NFL way longer than Kyler Murray could be. So I think Kyler Murray made the right decision. I think it was a tough decision, but I think that whoever's around him, whoever's advising him, did the appropriate thing for sure. This is what I would have done. This is what I would have advised. And if you're listening to this far into the show, then you know that I'm usually right about everything. So thank you all for listening. That is going to be the show. Thank you very, 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 very much. An enjoyable show, 30 minutes, good stuff. We try and keep it around 30, 45 minutes. If we really get on some topics, if there's really some hard-hitting stuff, we may go towards the hour mark. But I'm trying to keep it low because I know that a lot of people either listen to this on a commute or stuff like that, so they don't have hours and hours and hours to listen as a normal radio show. So that's why we try and keep it brief, try and keep topics brief and precise. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you for starting it here with me.